monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. Notice what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
It's been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal, Tony. What's going on, brother?
Not much, buddy. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I got sick once again, and that sucked.
Not you.
I don't know. We had so I guess after COVID, our immune system was shot, and then I don't know. We just caught a stomach bug, and it was a nasty stomach bug. Yeah, most stomach bugs usually last like 24 hours. This thing lasted like 3 or 4 days.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Honestly, I felt better when I had COVID than I did with that stomach bug. It sucked.
That's alarming.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling better now, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And the kids, they caught it, but they were kind of resilient to it a little bit. But man, it put me down.
The kids are, man. They're resilient to a lot.
Crazy.
You even told me that your kids were pretty good when they got corona. They were still jumping around and
Oh yeah, they were
having a good time even though they were sick. So
I was laying on the couch dying.
right, they're just hopping around, not phased at all.
Yeah, I will say that I was pleasantly surprised that when we had COVID, like I wanted to eat. Like I didn't lose my appetite at all, so I was happy about that. So I was eating like constantly. I was actually snacking a lot more too. It's crazy. Sucked.
Would have thought it'd be the opposite.
No, I gained weight.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, feeling healthy again. Glad.
Glad to hear it.
How about you on your end? How's life?
It's going, man. It's going. It's been wild, but yeah, life's good. Life's good.
Awesome. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into this episode, there's a few announcements that I haven't even told you about.
Ooh.
That I'm ecstatic about, really. So pretty much the one thing that I want to talk about is the growth. And, even though we might not say it enough or, think to say it enough, the growth is amazing with this podcast. About a month ago, I think we had like 70 something subscribers on YouTube. It wasn't much. And I mean, realistically, it still isn't much, but it's amazing how it's grown. To date, to now, we are at 94.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's literally jumped in like a month or two. It's amazing.
Damn.
Even honestly, when I get that notification that we've gotten that one new subscriber, I jump like I'm so happy.
Not thinking, man. We're getting close to 100. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never, we started this thing that just thinking like, hey, we'll just get on here. We don't really know where this is going to go. We're just going to get in here and do what we always do. We're going to talk film and have fun, dissecting and coming up with the metaphors and just really just analyzing the films and really just having a good discussion on them. So we never really knew where it was going to take us or anything like that, but the future looks bright. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, man. Mm-hmm. Based on that, I mean, this is just this is awesome. This is the first time, like I said, me and you didn't talk about this yet, so this is new. This is really, really remarkable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, is honestly like the podcast is honestly an extra step for us, really, because if we weren't doing the podcast, we would honestly just be calling each other and talking about films. Yeah. So we're literally doing what we already do.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's just it's for you guys.
Yeah, It's an
That's it.
extension of what we've been doing for a long time now.
Yeah. But thank you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, listeners. Thank you guys. You truly like you have no idea how much that means to us. Thank you for your continued support.
Yep.
And welcome to the new listeners, new subscribers. Welcome, guys. Hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing. We're going to try to keep quality content out for you
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis. We might take breaks here and now every once in a while, but we're trying to pump out as much regular content as we can for all the listeners out there. So
Definitely. And also, one other thing I wanted to bring up, episode 34. This is summer of '84.
that's the big one.
As of right now, it's sitting at 9,345 views.
That just
That's insane.
that blows my mind. I can't even believe that.
That's insane. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's remarkable. That's the best word to describe it, is remarkable. Like, I never thought in a million years that would happen to one of our videos, but it's to that point where it's almost at 10,000 views. Just can't. It gets me excited, man. It gets me excited on where the future's going to go, where we're heading. Because we're coming up with new ideas, new kind of like theme weeks and theme months, stuff like that constantly. So getting those incorporated into our routine and our schedule is going to be fun over the next couple months, leading up until summer, when we do our normal summer slasher series, and it's going to be, oh dude, I'm just excited to collaborate and see where we're going to go next, because right now we're right in the middle of our vampire month. Have we talked about that yet?
That's the announcement too.
This
is going to be vampire.
I'm excited though. So I had to
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So episode 34, I didn't write down the other episodes as far as what episodes they are, but the Wrong Turn episode comes in second at like 4,000 views. I am completely shocked that this bypassed that.
Yeah. I'm too, because for the longest time, the Wrong Turn episode was our highest viewed episode.
Yeah.
And somehow Summer of '84 just completely trampled over it, and now it's leading. It's really cool. Really cool. Because it's more of a contemporary film, and it's a lesser known film, so I'm glad it's getting the buzz that it is, and people are listening to the episode in particular. Hopefully, listening to that episode turn some people onto that movie and stuff like that. And that's what we want to do. We just want to, we want to talk about these films, but not, go into them, spoiling them right away. We'd like the listeners to check them out beforehand and then come back and check out the discussion that we have. But we really just want to turn people onto some of these films, man. Some films they might not have heard of or might have passed and, just not given a second thought about, but then, hopping on a podcast, listening to us, they're like, oh, maybe I should give this movie a shot. So, if we're doing that, then we're doing something right. So I'm thrilled that episode in particular is doing as well as it is.
Yeah, definitely. And just like Tony said, keep us going. Make sure you let your family, friends, whoever is into horror, let them know, and then you guys are why we're doing this.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, so Tony hit on it. This month is going to be Vampire Month, so which I'm excited about. I know you are, which we're covering one of your favorite films.
Right out the gate.
Right out the gate. What are we covering?
We are covering 1985's Fright Night.
Yes.
A wonderful, wonderful gem of a vampire film, which when we talked about, going back way, way back, when we talked about our top 10 favorite horror films of all time, this popped up on my list. So my affinity for this film runs deep. It is my personal favorite vampire film of all time. It's a movie that I grew up on. I watched when I was very young. It made an impression on me because at the time I didn't get the humor. I just got the amazing effects on the vampire on Jerry that scared me. That it really resonated with me. So
Was he your monster?
he was, yeah.
He was the one that kind of got to you a little.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Because he had multiple levels of his makeup and stuff that was done throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
He looked different in different stages. So, and each one was, for a kid, I mean, it's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
I'm not the hugest fan of vampire. Like I'm more of the gothic vampire. Like my favorite, of course, is Christopher Lee as Count Dracula. He's the legend. So any of his films, I'm a diehard fan of. But the vampire genre as a whole isn't my favorite subgenre. But this movie is definitely my favorite in this subgenre, easily. So it's going to be kind of anticlimactic right away when I give my ratings and stuff like that. But as most of our diehard listeners know, if they've listened to our older stuff, they already know how much I love this film and how we talked about it on our top 10. So, but yeah, I'm ready to dissect this bad boy and get into it more.
Well, it's kind of funny, but I guess a little pregame before we actually fully talk about this film. We got into a conversation a couple days ago about it. You saying that this is one of your films that you watched as a young child growing up, and this one kind of stuck out to you, and that's kind of the same way I am with Lost Boys. We discussed kind of the difference of either you're a fan of this film or you're a fan of Lost Boys. I lean more towards Lost Boys.
There seems two different camps when it comes to the 80s vampire films. These being the big two, and whether you're more of a fan of Fright Night or more of a Lost Boys fan. So
I mean, honestly, it would have probably really been hard on me had I seen this movie, growing up as a young kid, because I think I got turned on to Lost Boys when I was probably about 8 or 9, roughly about. I mean, I remember having the VHS copy, and I was always watching that. I mean, I literally would pop that in like every other day, so I grew up on it. So it's very nostalgic for me, whereas this is very nostalgic for you, so it just honestly resonates. But going through and watching this film, I had so much fun watching this film, and I honestly wrote down in my notes, like, I forgot how cool this fucking movie was, because it is the epitome of 80s, and I love the 80s,
80s access to
it's got the big hair, it's got, everything, I don't know, it's Lost Boys does the same thing for me. It's just 80s cheese to me, and I love it. But I don't know, I dug this film. But yeah, I guess we can kind of start off with the synopsis, though. I just wanted to get that out.
Oh yeah. So we follow our main character Charlie, who is a young kid. Well, not young kid. He's a high schooler, living with his mom. I guess she's a single mom. He has a next door neighbor move in next door, and he's kind of like spying on him a little bit. So you get like that rear window aspect to this film, which I love. It's another reason I really dig this film, is because they do that so well in this film, where he's spying on him, and he's starting to get the impression that things might not all be what they seem. There's a little bit more to this guy than people think, and he seems to be the only person around that knows about it, and he's trying to convince everybody that this guy is a vampire. But no one, of course, is believing him. They think he's crazy. So he's trying to convince people of what he knows, and basically take down Jerry Dandridge, who is our main villain, our vampire. But the thing that gets me about this movie, and I wanted to talk about it because when people talk about Fright Night, there's a lot of things that come up. But for me, I just wanted to preference that some of the side characters in this movie are some of the best side characters. I mean, they just are. I even love Charlie's mom. I think she is the sweetest woman. She is so nice. She says the funniest shit sometimes.
She's so naive.
She's so naive. Like, and but every time she's on screen, like, I'm like, she is great. She is a phenomenal mom. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to love about this lady? Evil Ed, of course, is Evil Ed. I mean, he's remarkable. Which kills me because people, like, that's one of the critiques about this movie. People critique Evil Ed and consider him annoying and stuff. I don't consider him annoying at all. I love Evil Ed.
I found, so yeah, Evil Ed, the character itself, like, up until he was a vampire, I could tolerate him. I thought he was fine. But when he was a vampire, he was annoying as shit. Like, that's just me.
I get that, man. That's a lot.
Like the whole scene in Peter Vincent's apartment, that was annoying to me. But I mean, it fit because he went from being this kind of nobody kid to now he's a vampire, and
Exactly
so, I mean,
right.
I get it.
He's going to go a little bit more over the top because he feels a little bit more untouchable. Right? Exactly. So he's gonna ham it up a little bit more, and for sure, dude. That's
I got it.
Yeah. But I love that his lines. He's like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" He's like, "No, what are you gonna do?" Great, man. I love Evil Ed.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little scenes is when Charlie runs to him for some advice and get he wants some help to kind of combat the vampire. He's giving him money. He's like, I'd be who am I to turn down a fool's money? And he takes his money and puts it up and stuff like that. I'm trying to think like, oh, what should I tell him? Oh, okay, I got it. I'm just giving generic ass information about vampires and having to, and how to stop them. And that's pretty much what he does.
I think he pretty much thought he was kind of a little out there.
Oh yeah,
because I don't think those two were actually fully friends. I think that they were. They were close, but I don't know that they were fully friends because he even said later evil or something like that because he kept calling him evil, and he was like, I don't like when you guys call me that. He actually does say that in the movie. So
yeah, he commentates on that. He's like, I don't like when you call me that. Their relationship's kind of interesting. The three of them, Amy, his girlfriend, Evil, and Charlie, their relationship is kind of different. They all seem to be kind of close, but then not. Like it's weird, because it can be contentious at times, and then of course and that's another thing in the beginning of the movie. Charlie's trying to get trying to score with Amy, and she's kind of reserved and she's not really ready for it and stuff like that. So he's like, oh, we've been going together for a year and stuff like that. I think it's time we take it to the next level. And she's like, all right. And then she gets on the bed. She's like, I'm ready. And then he's just paying attention to Jerry. So she's completely like, she's like, really? Like, and then she takes off just pissed off. And that's when we meet his mom. And then she goes in with the exchange. Like the opening, the beginning of this movie is just great. And it just gets better and better and better.
Well, I love the fact that in that moment she's like, okay, maybe he is right. Maybe we've been together this long, and I need to, So she what does she do? She takes off her blouse, right, or something. Yeah. And she's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then he completely disregards her, and she's like, well, if you're not going to talk to me, then I'm leaving.
She just takes off.
Yeah,
right?
She takes off. She storms out. She's pissed. It's like a couple days goes by, and they meet up in like a burger joint or something. And she starts talking about her feelings and everything. And then next thing you know, he looks up at a TV and he completely just walks away from her and starts.
He ignores her again. I don't know if that's a burger or what. I don't know what the hell she shoved.
Dude, that was a straight up chili cheeseburger she stuffed on his fucking head. It was amazing.
Yeah, that wasn't like that didn't look like a patty. That was like chili or something. Yeah. But yeah, he got doused in that, and that was. I don't know, man. The characters in this movie are just great. I love. I
loved it. Yeah.
So, another character that doesn't get enough love that I wish got more love is Billy Cole. The Billy Cole is basically
the ghoul.
he's basically like Jerry's go-to guy. Like he does everything for him when Jerry can't do anything during the day because I mean, of course, he's a vampire. So he's basically they call him his live-in roommate. Which there is some there's hints at like a homosexual kind of, and I've heard this from people in the past when they're talking about the movie about Billy and Jerry and their kind of like their relationship. I guess it kind of looks weird when there's two men living in the same house, renovating the house together and stuff like that. People just assume things and stuff like that. But then there's one camera shot that's pretty suggestive when like they shoot like Billy cleaning his wounds and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's kind of interesting that they shot that the way they did. Kind of leads to more people talking about that in that way. But I just think he's funny because he kind of gives Charlie shit and kind of does little things to kind of get under his skin and stuff like that. And there's a little scene in the movie when, I know we're getting ahead I just love this movie. So I'm all over the place with it. But there's a scene where it's a little tiny scene. It's a blink and you'll miss it scene when they're in Jerry's house and they're trying to prove that he's a vampire. And no one's really believing Charlie and this and that. So when Charlie goes to turn around, Billy kind of just gets in his way like that, just shoves in his way and stuff like just little things like that. Just make the character. I just love it, man. He's funny as hell. And then when he has the exchange with the cop, that's one of my favorite exchanges in the whole movie.
Yeah, because he didn't want to tell the cop that there was like that his suspicion was the vampire and everything.
Right.
So, and then he just kind of lost it, and he was like, "We're this close," so he just kind of went for it. And the cop was like, "Are you shitting me right now?" Like,
he's like, "Woo!" He puts the cross up, and he's just going fully ham, and I dig the hell out of it. So, but yeah, I love, like I said, the innocent exchange between Charlie and Amy, because it really feels believable. Like they're a high school couple, and they're on the verge. Taking their relationship to the next level, and it really feels like it in the beginning. Really good acting, of course. And like I said, so with Jerry, they mentioned, early on that there was a man killed at the train yard or something like that. And Evil's talking about the murders, or the victims, getting decapitated or something like that. And then Charlie sees what we believe is a hooker. This lady in blue, she gets dropped off at the house looking for Jerry's house, his address, when Charlie's like, oh no, that's next door. And she goes in there, and then he sees her picture on the TV. So this is what's getting his suspicions going, is he saw this person go into his house. So automatically he's like, all right, so Jerry's got something to do with it. Probably the last person to see her alive. So I guess, and then there's another girl when Charlie's like, he's being a voyeur, like spying on Jerry, and he sees Jerry and this girl about to do a little nasty. And and which is a great scene, by the way. It's an amazing scene, because then you see Jerry catch him, like they see each other and stuff like that, and it's like, oh no, now he knows I'm on his radar. So now he knows I'm watching him. So now he's gonna probably come back with me, and we're really gonna be, going back and forth here. But you don't want to go back and forth with a vampire.
No.
But when he draws the shades to kind of give himself some privacy, you can see his long fingers and stuff like that, and they hold on that shot, which is really cool. So something's off with him even before he's a vampire. Like something's not right with this dude. But yeah, I guess what we're led to believe is like that Jerry's like killing hookers essentially. Like I think there's two of them that he. That kills. I don't know if that's just Evil being like just himself and being weird, saying that that's going on just to get under Charlie's skin, because he seems to like to get under his skin a lot. So I don't know, man. I don't know if he meant that or if that was just something he was giving him shit for. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. What do you think about Jerry? What do you think about Jerry Dandridge?
Honestly, I really dug him. I liked it. I forget the actor's name that plays him.
Chris Sarandon.
Okay. He brought a lot to that role.
He did.
You know.
And I'm gonna get into some stuff that he brought, and because I 100% agree with you.
Mhm.
Jerry, he's the most suave. He knows how to like get around people, and he knows how to sweet talk people, and this is
Mhm.
that. He's very sophisticated. He's cultured. He's a ladies' man. He's everything you would assume a vampire would be.
Exactly. And being the essentially the Dracula of the film,
Mhm.
you have to be that character. You have to be that charismatic and
Charismatic.
everything. The scene, honestly, what really got to me as far as him playing Jerry Dandridge, the scene where they were in uh, the nightclub.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, just where he was just what the scene. Why I like that scene so much is because it's such a typical male vampire. As he's walking through the crowd, you see all the. I don't know if you picked up on it, but it was very subtly done. But the women were like stopping what they were doing and like looking at him
Yeah,
as he was walking past them, not even paying them attention, and they were even like touching him and stuff.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That said a lot. That was cool. The way
Yeah.
and that just comes down to good writing too.
Yep.
That was particularly done. You know.
Absolutely. I like what Chris Sarandon brought to the character.
Mhm.
Even little idea. Did you notice throughout the movie he was always eating like an apple or a piece of fruit or something? You noticed that, right?
Yes.
So I looked this up because I knew something was up with that because it was a constant thing. I looked it up, and Chris Sarandon thought it was going to be interesting. He wanted to come up with a backstory for Jerry. So what he did was he figured when he was doing his backstory that Jerry, vampires are synonymous with bats and everything like that. He came up with the idea that Jerry has the same DNA as a fruit bat. So that's why he's constantly eating like apples and fruit and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it just a little character trait that he brought to the that wasn't like anything that was in the script or anything like that. He just brought that to I think Tom Holland, the director, and it's like, hey, can we put this in the movie? He's like, yeah, it's a great idea. I actually like that. So, I mean, he came up with little things like even Jerry having clocks all in his house everywhere, and they would all
Mhm.
go off, at dawn and dusk, so he would know when the sun was going to come out and stuff like that. Even little touches like that made his character so unique, and I just really dug that. And like I said, he's so charismatic and suave, and he's just a chill dude. But he can be really sinister too at the same time. Like when he
Mhm.
confronts Charlie in his house and he locks his mom, he takes the door, just breaks the door so she can't get out to come
Yeah.
help his son. When she's just like, and that's another thing. She's always like passed out and exhausted and stuff like that. So she's always like, "What's going on? What's happening?" I don't know. She just doesn't understand anything that's going on around her. But yeah, when he confronts Charlie in his room, I mean, it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really dark.
pretty intimidating.
Yeah. I wonder if like he would have killed him because he at one point he tells him, he actually says, you could forget all this and we can move on with our lives or something like that.
That's what I love. That's what I love the dialogue. He's like, I'm gonna give you what I don't have, a choice. He's like, I'm gonna say if or I'm giving you the option to forget about me and I'll forget about you and we can just go on. But if you keep this up, then I'm gonna kill you. Like that's just that. And Charlie doesn't buy into it and he fights back and stuff like that. So he's like, all right, well now we have a problem. Um, so I just love that because he didn't have to do that. It was interesting. He's like, I'll give you something I don't have, and that's a choice. He's like, I don't have a choice in the matter. I'm a vampire. There's no going back for me. But for you, I'll give you that. I'll give you an option to let this be, or you're going to get killed. Essentially. So I thought it was pretty interesting. It's not too often a vampire will give somebody that is blackmailing them or trying to expose them a choice of running free or being subjected to their wrath. So that was pretty unique. Pretty unique.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love the quaint stuff. Like you can definitely tell that Charlie's neighborhood where the houses are, which the houses are really cool too, by the way. Especially Jerry's house, it's great looking. But you could tell it was shot on like a back lot, like a Hollywood, like a studio back lot, because of the way everything was structured. You could just kind of tell. But
I love the fact that literally two doors down is a church.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely tell, man. But it adds to the unique, the quaintness of this movie too. It really feels like it takes place in like a small, no-name town. Which I'm curious. I never really picked up on where this is supposed to take place. There's one little thing I noticed when Jerry is confronting Charlie in his room. Charlie's got all his pencils and pens and stuff like that in an Iowa mug. So I wonder if this takes place in Iowa. I don't know. I've always been curious on where this takes place.
It looked like somewhere like kind of industrial because the warehouse area.
But that's the thing. It seems like some small, quaint, no name town in the middle of nowhere. Like that's why I'm like, I wonder if it is in Iowa, because Iowa's pretty. I'm not saying there's nothing in Iowa for any Iowa listeners out there, but I don't want to alienate anybody. But it seems like a smaller, kind of close knit kind of town. So maybe I don't know. I just noticed. I'm like, why would that's pretty random that you would it would. Close up. I know he needed a pencil to stab Harry, which I didn't understand why that hurt him so much. I don't know.
It's wood.
Oh, I guess. I mean, but in his hand, he freaked out when it actually went through his hand. So
yeah.
But yeah, they zoomed in on that Iowa mug. I was like, oh, that's pretty. I wonder if Tom Holland's an Iowa fan or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it could be.
It just made me think that this possibly took place in Iowa somewhere. I don't know.
They could have literally just been filming in Iowa, and that was some kid's actual desk.
It could have been, man. Who knows?
There was some funny dialogue.
So much good dialogue in this.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so you said that the mother always seemed like she was loopy or hopped up on something, or she just wasn't all there. Yeah. There is some dialogue where he wakes up and he's had a nightmare, and I guess like his mom, I forget what he was either telling his mom that he had the nightmare or something, or he just couldn't sleep because of the nightmare. She actually offers him Valium.
Yeah. I laughed.
She's like, I've got some Valium if you want that.
I love her. And she doesn't get enough credit. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about her character, but
no, I dug her character. It was fun.
I really did. and she played a bigger part too, because when Evil Ed was explaining vampire lore to Charlie, he's like, you don't have to really worry about anything because a vampire has to be invited into your house before he can actually go into your house.
I love that.
Charlie was like, oh, good, fine. And then when he gets home, his mom invited Jerry into the house to meet him and this and that. So I was like,
new neighbor.
Meet the new neighbor kind of thing. Yeah. So he goes from like super happy to like super bummed in like a matter of.
And then I like how he just makes it known. He's like, I'm going to be stopping by more often.
That's a great thing too. He's like, matter of fact, whenever I want to, with your mother's kind of permission, of course. And she's just completely charmed by him. She's just like, oh yeah, of course, you can come over anytime you want. So he works the magic. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's he's a good manipulator, man.
Mm-hmm.
He really is.
Yeah.
There's so much to his character. That's why I like Jerry. He's just so much to him.
Oh yeah.
Not your typical standard, just bad like vampire. He's got a lot of sides to him. Like I said,
Yeah.
it really comes up into play when he gives Charlie a choice. Like that's something you don't see very often.
I think he's kind of underlined more of a passionate vampire, which most of your vampires are passionate.
Yeah.
You know, but he seems to care a little bit. You know, especially you really find out about more about his passionate side once he sees, I guess, the love of his life or whatever, Amy.
Yeah, when he sees like the reincarnation of his love in Amy because they look the exact same,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge plot point that comes into play.
Yeah, that's honestly my biggest downfall for this movie.
Yeah,
you know, because it's been it's been done so many times. You know, unfortunately, you know, you got Nosferatu and Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know,
it goes along with the gothic story. I mean, it fits in so well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's things that it kind of comes with the territory. But I feel you, man. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
I mean, that's my only downfall with this movie. It's like they pulled the whole Dracula bit out.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people critique the what you said you were really enjoying was the dance club scene. They say the dance club scene kind of takes them out of the movie and stuff like that. I don't think so at all.
It adds to his character.
Oh yeah.
You know,
You see a lot of
the way that he just kind of walks in a room and every woman is like fucking wooed by this guy.
Yeah, he commands the room. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then that adds to the character more. I mean,
Yeah.
you see more of that than anything. And I love the shot where he's dancing with Amy and she's looking when she spins, she looks in the mirror and there's nothing there, and then she spins away and then looks back, there's still nothing there, and that keeps going. I love that shot.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Peter Vincent yet, man.
I was about to bring him up. I loved his character.
Oh, Roddy McDowall is fantastic. He is fantastic in this, man.
Yeah.
he's so scared and like just off. Charlie, the good majority of the movie is Charlie trying to convince him to help him because he just constantly, even when he finds out that Jerry really is a vampire, he still has to get like pulled in the direction to help him out because he is just not having it.
No.
But I love when you first meet him when they're watching his program on TV, and he this is so great. He goes to stake the vampire. He's got the stake backwards. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's got the pointy side where he can hit with the mallet, but then the dull side where he can stab through the vampire. It's hilarious. Just goes along with the camp of the program that he's supposed to be the host of.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be basically the amalgamation of like old horror hosts and you know, vampire hunters and stuff like that old cliche.
Yeah.
They took his name from of course Vincent Price and Peter Cushing. So they combined those two legends in the horror world and made Peter Vincent out of it. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so scared, man. He's just like he wants no part of anything that's going on. He doesn't help Charlie out at all.
Yeah, I love how like I love when he goes to or Charlie goes to like hire him to help him. He goes down to like the studio, which that's another thing. Why would if it does take place in Iowa, where the hell is there a studio? You know.
I thought about that too, but I was like, maybe it's like a little independent. I don't know. It's really, I'm really curious where this film takes place. I really am.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm thinking maybe if I watch the documentary, I haven't seen the documentary in a while. Maybe that'll kind of steer me in the direction because I picked up this Blu-ray from Eureka, and it actually comes with the You're So Cool, Brewster documentary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about popping that in and watching it again. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I don't remember them saying like where this takes place. But maybe it's just something I missed, and maybe that'll help me out to figure out where it takes place. Because that's one of the main things, man. I just want to know where they are, where this is. But yeah. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead, Corey.
Oh, you're fine. No, that's one of my favorite shots. Though, is him trying to get him to sign on to help them out, and he thinks that he's like at first he's like I'm sorry, I don't have any pens to give you an autograph or something, and then as he's walking, he's like, no, I just he's talking to him about coming and hunting this vampire with him, and he's like, yeah, I just got fired. That's called ratings for you.
Yeah.
So, he's like, well, I actually believe in vampires, and he was like, well, you're the only one apparently.
Yeah, because he does like a commentary on how people have how society or how audiences have kind of strayed away from like gothic horror and stuff like that, and they were more into slashers and stuff like that at the time. Because he's like, all the audiences now care about is guys in ski masks hiking up young virgins or something like that.
Yeah.
And just like a commentary on where they were at the time, because I mean, this took place in '85, but from '81, of course, on you had the slasher boom, and people were more gravitating toward those type of films, and not a lot of people are watching the Universal stuff and the Hammer stuff and everything like that. So the climate was kind of changing a little bit. So,
which
I like that they added that little bit of commentary in there on that.
I'm kind of curious as to if that was a statement from Tom Holland.
Maybe it was.
Pretty much. Because, I mean, then he came out with Child's Play.
Yeah, right after.
So, yeah. Which became a slasher icon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I love that whole scene. And then they track him back down to his apartment, and they try and hire him again, and he's just not having it. I loved his character though. I love the scene where he kind of redeems himself, where he goes to basically Charlie just goes to hunt the vampire alone by himself, because at this point, I think Evil's gone. But she doesn't know that Evil's a vampire at this point. I don't think. I don't think he ever got confronted by him. Peter got confronted by him a couple times, but I think he was waiting in Charlie's house to kill Charlie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peter got there first. Yeah.
That's right, because he was laying in Charlie's mom's bed.
Yeah. With the fake wig on. Oh, his dinner's in the oven. He's great, man. I love you. I understand people's criticism. It's the same thing when in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, people criticize Franklin's character because they think he's annoying.
Franklin is annoying to me.
I get it, but I just never find it annoying at all. He serves the purpose of the story. So
yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm not even going to get on that. We'll talk about that when we talk about TCM.
Well, I was kind of rooting for him, to wheel away.
Yeah, that's a difference. That's another story for another time.
What if Franklin lived?
Yeah. No, but he was just so pissed off and why he was so whiny and aggravated and stuff like that. I get it. Like he's the only one there. He's almost the third wheel. He's no pun intended. He doesn't have a chick. He's like he's basically just getting drug along. It's hot as hell. He's got nobody there with him. Everybody else couples together and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like he's miserable. So I get why he's all whiny and shit. But never got on my nerves before. But I digress. Neither does Evil Ed. Evil Ed's awesome. I like Evil Ed. He's funny.
The scene where Evil Ed, I guess he accidentally gets impaled.
Yeah, that scene's great, dude.
the scene where he's like dying.
Oh,
It was sad. It was really sad.
really was sad because I mean, you got Roddy McDowell acting phenomenal. Stephen Jeffries, both of them like very emotional and very. It's just a sad with the music too. It's very
Yeah.
sad.
But he turns into like this. He turns into the wolf and then gets impaled, and then he's like turning back into the human, like while he's laying on the ground, and it's definitely really sad.
Yeah, which is a great scene where he actually gets impaled. He falls through the staircase and stuff like that. And he falls down. That's a great scene too. Well shot. Yeah, very super emotional moment. Because I mean, it's just sad to see him because those. Oh man, can I talk about the special effects though on that? Ooh, special effects were phenomenal.
Really good.
Really good. I mean, oh, dude.
The whole transformation between him turning from a wolf back into a human. That whole transformation was just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good prosthetics used in this movie. Tons of good prosthetics used in this movie. I mean, just from Amy in the end to Evil Ed to there's so many, dude.
Honestly, my favorite practical effect in the whole film is when Billy Cole is melting.
Oh God, yeah, easily for me too, man. That scene's great with the green goo going out of it, and then it gets like dust.
That's what I loved about it, and that's why I was like, oh, he's cool. You know, as soon as I seen, because Jerry left them with him, and he was like, he's dead. I shot him in the head, and he was like, you sure about that? And then just walks away, and then you see him pop up behind him.
Yeah, he pulls a Michael Myers.
But I love that because as soon as that happened, I was like, oh my God, Billy's Jerry's ghoul. Yeah. He's basically a zombie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. You really get to see him because, like you said, he doesn't bleed. He's like this green goop that comes from him, and then, you know, he must have just been so old that he has dust in there, so dust starts coming out. That was cool.
Nasty, it's pretty nasty. But I love when his hands up and they just start decomposing. In like real time, it's shot so phenomenally. I love the way they did that.
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can gush and gush and gush about this movie. There's so much stuff I love. When they go to Charlie to see how he's doing and stuff like that, he's got all the candles and garlic, and he's making steaks and stuff on his bed and stuff like that. It's like it's a huge fire hazard, man. This candle's all in his room.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, it was scary.
It's bad, man. It's terrible. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna wait till the sun goes down. I'm gonna go over and stick this stake in his heart. And then Amy's like, that's murder, Charlie. You can't do that. Like, it's not murder.
What I really love is he's like, yeah, I'm gonna wait until tonight to go over there and stake his heart. Like, I never got that concept. Like, you're gonna hunt vampires at night when they're awake, because that makes sense.
I guess he figured like right before dawn where he could get around before he gets out. I noticed one thing watching the movie I never noticed before. But so when they get everybody over to Jerry's, and Peter Vincent gives them the holy water test, because they're trying to convince Charlie that the guy's not a vampire. You're losing it. You're cracking. Like, chill out. So they just get like a little bottle of tap water, and Peter Vincent tells Charlie like, I had it blessed myself from the father at the church. Jerry's gonna drink it to prove that he's not a vampire. So that whole scene's cool. I love how that goes down. But then when they leave, Peter sees that he doesn't have a reflection in this little prop mirror that he had from one of his movies, which he showed off earlier. So I'm glad that came back into play when he was looking through it. he didn't see his reflection, so he knew right away that yeah, Jerry's definitely a vampire. But he didn't want to tell anybody that because I guess he didn't want to believe it himself. He wanted to kind of keep it, you know. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
I mean, just his character is very, very at the time at the moment very weak. He just didn't want to accept reality. So
No.
he takes
Well,
off.
I think he accepted reality. He was just getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I mean,
Because at that point, he's like, I can't help you. No, that guy's not a vampire. I'm leaving.
yeah, he definitely was. But then you get the trio again of Charlie, Amy, and Evil, and then Evil, like when they're leaving, like Evil tries to go the other way, and Charlie's like, "Where do you think you're going, pencil dick?" And you can see Amy like actually laughing. I don't think she was supposed to be laughing, but I think that was a genuine laugh. Amanda Beers, the actress, I think that was a genuine laugh that came out of her. that was a great comeback, really, but
Nice.
or a great line, not a comeback. But yeah, just Evil's reaction to that shit, like, oh my god, it was great. Just seeing her laugh. You can tell they did really good chemistry, the three of them. Because he's really like, their relationship's really contentious, man.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that. They have moments where they seem like really, really good friends, but then they have moments where they completely can't stand each other. So
Yeah, it was like they almost got aggravated at one another a good bit. Yeah.
definitely could tell that. But yeah, dude, and then we get to when they find out that that Jerry's actually a vampire. Evil gets turned because he plays on Evil's, because Evil, like, of course, you can tell he's the kid that gets picked on and stuff like that. So Jerry kind of plays into that hand where he's like, you accept my offer. He's like, you won't get picked on anymore. You don't have to feel pain and isolation and this and that anymore. You'll be accepted and stuff like that. So he really plays into that, and that's why Evil kind of accepts it.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up turning. But then he kidnaps Amy at the nightclub scene, which he takes out those two bouncers. that shit was wild, man.
He just straight up throws that one guy.
Did you notice though
that the first bouncer, one of the bouncers, was the same guy from Friday the 13th Part 3? One of the bikers. The same
Yeah.
The same actor.
I knew the guy looked familiar. I was just like, I've seen him before.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Well, of course, I've noticed that before, but I wanted to let you know because I know Friday Part 3 is your favorite. So
yeah, it is.
Like, one of your bikers is.
That's funny. That's funny.
So yeah, when the third act rolls around and they confront Jerry at his house, that's when all the insanity hits, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a little clunky when Peter Vincent leaves, goes to Charlie's house. They come back. He breaks them out. This and that. There's a lot of like back and forth in the final climax of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just a lot of different ways that Jerry can kind of get around. And I mean, it's right there before daybreak too. So they're trying to, which when he turns into that bat creature thing, holy shit, man. What a cool little design that was.
Yeah.
Really, really neat. But they play with the thing about faith too a lot in this movie.
Yep.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, with the because at one point, I think Peter holds up a cross.
Yeah.
At Jerry, and Jerry he actually grabs it and crushes it, and he says you have to have faith in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But then later on he's like, I've got faith now, and he holds it up. I didn't like that. And I guess that goes back to the old vampires. They'll tuck their face and hiss, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But in his case, he did like this weird moan as he kind of backed up.
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't digging on it at all. I was like, you could have just acted a little strange towards it, and it would have been okay.
He's trying to go a different route. I know what he was doing. He's trying to go a different route. He didn't want to fall into the same cliche like
Yeah.
you said, kissing and pulling
But
his.
to me, it still kind of did fall in that cliche a little,
Kind of came off hammy.
a little, a
Easy.
little. That's like I said, those two things are my only downfalls of this film.
Yeah.
I love this film.
I love this film too, man. I don't have any downfalls. This movie's. Maybe I'm looking at it just through nostalgia. I grew up with this
Oh yeah,
movie.
no, I
Means a
completely
lot.
understand.
There's nothing I don't like about this movie. I like even the scenes that people critique and they don't like. I love them. I don't
Yeah.
see anything wrong with that nightclub scene. Nightclub scene is great.
It's
Like you said,
amazing.
it adds more to Jerry's character where, the women see him, they find him irresistible, they're drawn to his charm and this and
Mhm.
that. And then he appeals to everything because he takes out the bouncers like it's nothing, like they're nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it appeals to like the manly, macho shit. So I mean, he appeals to everybody and he gets what he wants, and that's Amy. That's what he wants, so he gets in there and gets her, like,
Yeah.
and has no problems doing it. Even when he's confronted by Charlie, Charlie can't do anything to him. Not at that point.
No.
He's pretty helpless. So,
Yeah.
but I love the dance number, man. I don't know. Like I said, I think when we talked about the sleeper, I was like, when we were discussing the sleeper, that dance number in that movie kind of felt out of place, but in this movie, it felt right. Like it felt like it needed to be there.
Yeah, to me it does.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Especially because then there's that reveal of, she sees him for what he is, but she can't look away.
Yeah, exactly. Even
But
that.
she's drawn to him. She knows that he's a vampire at this point because she's seeing herself dancing alone in the mirror.
Yeah.
And
then there's a lot to in play with the virginal thing with Amy too, because like I said, her and Charlie haven't went the distance yet, so she's in Jerry's house, and that whole scene where he's trying to seduce her to bite her neck and stuff like that. She's very timid and stuff like that, which is, it speaks to that whole virginal thing. And then when he finally, bites her neck and stuff like that, it's almost like a climax of sorts. So, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of layers to it when it comes to the lore of vampires and just sexuality as a whole. But man, there's so much to unpack with this movie, man.
it really is.
I never, like I said, when I was a kid though, I never got the comedy and stuff like that. But there's a lot of comedy in this. I mean, there's more than you would think.
All the one-liners and stuff alone.
Yeah, even looking at the cover art and stuff like that, you would think this is a really straightforward, dark horror film. And it's got a little comedy in there too, man. To break it up every once in a while. And
I liked it. The comedy is very subtle.
Oh,
it's not over the top. It's it's not in your face. It's just it's perfect. This has a serious tone to it, but yet there is a little bit of comedy thrown at you, but lightly. I like it. It's well written and well shot and everything. It's just well done.
I would say it pairs well with the Return of the Living Dead, but the Return of the Living Dead, even that comedy is a little bit more dark. But it's a little bit lighter, but they do the horror comedy so perfectly, these two. So perfectly.
Yeah. I enjoyed everything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see your similarities though. But like you said, I see more comical in your face from Return than this film.
Yeah. Like you said, it's more subtle. Humor's a little bit more lighter too. Not dark.
Yeah, because even I brought up the fact that there's a scene where Stephen Joffrey's character, Evil Ed, he makes a quick pun about gay, like he makes like a gay joke or something, but it's very subtle, and I don't think you even noticed it. But it was like a really quick little joke. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's very subtle.
Very, very subtle. I agree, dude. I agree. Subtle but perfect.
Yeah. What did you think about that final battle scene?
So
Like
yeah, the scene where, all right, so when they finally, which I really dig it because, like I said, they're trying to figure out a way to defeat Jerry, and even Peter stakes him. He stakes him through the heart. I mean, I'm assuming it's through the heart, but it doesn't really affect him. Like he just pulls the stake out like it's nothing. But they find out like, hey, sunlight is what's going to do him in. But
Mhm.
because you could see they set it up perfectly because you could see Billy was painting all the panels in the attic black to keep the sunlight out, so Jerry can rest comfortably in the attic in his coffin.
In the
So
basement.
in the basement, excuse me,
Yeah.
sorry, because that's when he catches Charlie. In the beginning of the film, trying to get in and see what's going on. He's like, "Hey, kid, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing." He's like, "All right, make sure it stays that way." Like, so he's kind of giving him a little threat there. But so that's what he was doing. He was painting the panels black to kind of keep the sunlight out.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie and Peter, like, they start strategizing on it, and they just start breaking different panels and stuff like that, and kind of keeping Jerry contained, because they don't want him jumping back into the coffin, which he tried to do, and attacking them too. They didn't want that, so they wanted to keep him like contained within the sunlight. And when he's going to do the final attack on Peter, that's when Charlie comes through and pulls the curtain down, and the sunlight blasts him into the wall while he's in his like bat form. And apparently, looking that up, that was used or was going to be used on the Ghostbusters, like the librarian scene in the Ghostbusters. But because it was deemed too horrific, they had to scale that back, and they had still the same props and stuff like that. So they decided to use them in this movie, which I thought was really neat because I love Ghostbusters too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Favorite
I didn't
movies.
know that. That's cool.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So that final, like Jerry, like disintegrating and dying and stuff like that, that was originally going to be used in Ghostbusters. So, but yeah, it looked great, man. It looked 80s good. Best way to describe it.
Yeah.
The special effects in this movie are just
Yeah, I really dug that whole scene where they started breaking the windows to contain him. I thought that was just cool. Like that was neat. That's great strategy.
yeah.
Of course, no basement I've ever seen has that many windows in it.
Right. Yeah.
but still a pretty cool shot.
It was neat. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
I love how they kept him. I love how they really strategized to keep him contained. I mean, they were just the perfect panel broke, stopped him right there, like trapped him. I mean, it was cool. It was neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I dug it.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the whole thing they played off of too, where because Amy was bit and she had turned into the vampire, but because they killed, I guess, like her master,
She returned.
she was freed of it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, it seemed fitting too. And then there's that really special moment where the three of them, and the music. We haven't talked about the score, but the score was great too. I dug a lot of it. But that music at the end was really, it was almost sappy and stuff like that. But considering all that these guys have gone through, when Amy's returned, and then she and Charlie have a moment where they're like, "Are you good? Are you good?" And then they hug and stuff like that. And I just thought it was so neat when they're hugging, and then they bring Peter in and give him a hug too. So they're all three hugging. I thought that was really neat. I thought that was a little touch that they added, because I was like, oh, well, they got to get him in too, man. They all been through hell together. I mean, they got to give each other like a group hug. And then they end up doing that. So it comes around full circle. I like that. But dude, and then you get the end when Peter gives a shout out to Charlie on his new program that he's on, which they were playing. Which I noticed the movie that they were playing on there was Octoman, which is an old like 70s movie that's really cheesy and really bad. And I was like, damn, I've seen that before. That's a terrible fucking movie. It's so bad, but it's perfect for their new block of programming that he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gives him a shout out on TV, and then he gets up and he sees like the flashing lights over in Jerry's old house. And he's like, oh shit. He thinks for a minute, like, what's going on? And then Amy's sitting there like, everything good? Everything good? Everything all right? He's like, yeah, everything's good. And then he just goes back to her. Then you hear Evil's laugh, and then the credits roll. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Great way to end it. And then realizing their idea for the sequel, that ending also made sense too, because apparently in the sequel, what they wanted to do was have Evil come back and try to resurrect Jerry in his house. So that whole ending made sense because you can hear him laughing from Jerry's house. So that would be where he would start to try to work toward resurrecting him and bringing him back. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. There's a lot more to it than that. Charlie would be older, I think, have a couple of kids, and then the kids would be kind of, suspicious of something going on across the street or not, next door. That it would be Evil trying to conjure up, which I don't understand how the timeline would work on that, but that's neat.
Yeah.
That's still,
I've never. They did make a sequel, didn't they?
Did make a, yes, I was going to say they did make a sequel, but it didn't go that route. It was apparently, I've seen it before. I have it. I was thinking, I was actually talking to somebody about it not too long ago, but I'm thinking about checking it out again because it's been years since I've seen it. And I just remember it's got something to do with Jerry's sister. Like she's the main vampire in that movie. So yeah, and then Peter Vincent is in that one too. So Roddy McDowall shows up, and then Charlie Brewster is in that one too. So their characters return in the sequel. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out, man. Especially after watching Fright Night this time. I think about popping in the sequel and watching that too, just to see how that goes, because it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's the DVD was hard to find. It's been out of print for a long time. They've never re-released it on like Blu-ray or anything like that, so it's still pretty hard to find. Yeah, that's one of my lucky out of print scores that I've gotten.
I'm gonna see if it's maybe it might be on like Prime Video or something.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah,
it might be.
Might check it out. Yeah. Well, got any more you want to add about it?
Man, I could go on and on about this one, man, but I don't know if we need a 3-hour show. We might need to get into ratings now, but there's just so much to talk about with this movie. I love it, and like I said, I could talk another hour about this movie, man.
Well, let's talk about. So you did bring up the score.
I did.
That is something that I paid close attention to on this viewing, and God, I mean, everything about this movie felt 80s.
Oh yeah.
Even down to them being in the club scene, it was very 80s. I loved it.
The music fit perfectly.
It really did. Every scene was well done. As far as the score. It fit, I guess the score fit every scene. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was some suspenseful stuff and there, stuff like that, but for the most part.
There was some heartwarming stuff where the music kind of swooned and yeah, toward with the scene we were talking about.
Yeah, it felt very calming and stuff.
Yeah, everything fit structurally in with the scene, with the music. So I definitely noticed that too.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to bring up about that. I dug it. But yeah, I need to actually watch this film a lot more because it is a fun one to watch.
I watch it all the time, man. It's a recommendation for me. It's like I said, my personal favorite vampire film. So
what's your star rating?
This is kind of anticlimactic, considering this is in my top 10, and I've said it's my favorite vampire film, and it's a 5-star out of 5, man. It's like easily 5-star out of 5 for me. And like I said, I know that's that's not subjective or anything like that. Just me being that's my personal score because I have such an affinity for this movie.
Oh yeah.
I could talk about it all the time. I can dissect little things that they do and the character. Like I said, one of the main things for me I wanted to get with this discussion, people have talked Fright Night to death. But one thing I don't hear a lot of is people talk about the side characters. And I wanted to really bring into the forefront the side characters and how fun they are. Now they make this movie, they drive this movie more. There's no boring side characters. They all have something going on. There's something to do. They all have clips that they make that are funny, and they have a little charm to them. Each and every one of them. Like even Charlie's mom. Like I said, Charlie's mom is one of the best. So she gets no credit, no love. She deserves it. She's awesome. I don't know who that actress is, but she played that character pitch perfectly.
Yeah.
But dude, I wanted to definitely
talk a little bit more about that because as much as I've heard people discuss this movie, not a lot of people ever really discussed the side characters. So I wanted to bring it to the forefront a little bit. But yeah, dude, score, the effects, the characters. I mean, this film has it all. It's 5 out of 5 for me.
Right on. Yeah, I'm up there with you. Not fully. I'm at 4.5. And huh?
I thought you were gonna give it a 4. I'll take that. 4.5 is fine.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.5 because I sat down and I just ultimately had fun with this film. I mean, granted, like I said, the only two knocks that I really have is the whole cliche Dracula scene, I guess you will, if you will, vampire lost the love of his life at one point in time. She's back reincarnated. He's got to get her back somehow. I mean, we've seen it done over and over again. I mean, that's the only downfall I have as far as that. And then, like I said, the whole shot where he was like moaning as he was trying to back away from the cross. I didn't care for that too much. But literally, I mean, those are my only downfalls for this film. I love this film. I thought it's really well written, really well constructed. Everything about it's awesome.
And that's another thing. This film is like really well paced too. It goes. There's no
no slowdown, nothing.
The minute you hit play to the minute it ends, it just
flows so seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a lot of moments where you're like, oh, come on, let's get into something. No, everything just going. So that's another thing I want to talk about, the pace of the movie. It's got a great pace too.
Yeah.
Flies by.
It really does. Yeah, and like you said, it's no slowdown. It's just straightforward. It continuously rolls.
Yep.
Yeah. I dug it. This is a fun film.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you gave it 4.5.
Yeah. But you got anything else? You ready to land it?
I don't. I think we should land it because we don't want a 3-hour show. So.
All right, folks. Well, we appreciate you joining in with us on another episode, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and let your friends and family know, and everyone that you know that's big into horror, let them know about our show. Again, we thank you for the continued support and love, and thank you for all that you guys have brought us and keeping us going. We can't say it enough. But join us next week where we're going to continue on with the vampire, I guess, for the month of February kind of theme. Tony, you want to add anything?
No, man, just piggybacking off what you said, man. The listeners out there, the new ones, the ones that have been with us for a while, man, we just really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support. Seeing these views grow and the subscribers grow and stuff like that, it really means a lot to us, man. Like I said, we do this to have fun and stuff like that, but we really do it for you guys too. We really enjoy, like I said, even the feedback on the groups and stuff like that. We just, we appreciate the interaction and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm haven't been the best about being in more involved into the group and stuff like that lately, but definitely need to get back into that and stuff like that. Been kind of pushing off Facebook and stuff like that for just the dumb shit that you see on there and stuff like that. But I appreciate, I know Corey appreciates all the support we've gotten, all the people chiming in and giving out suggestions for the episodes and stuff like that. Man, it means a lot to us. Thank you guys.
Yep, definitely. Thank you. And I'm glad you brought that up. Make sure that you guys head over to our Facebook group. I'm going to be going ahead and putting in a suggestion episode. So you guys get on there, lay your suggestions out for a vampire film that you want to see us cover. Excuse me.
Dude,
But
if they pick Twilight, I might have to do some recovering because I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
that'd be hard. I'll get my wife on here as a special guest.
That'd be rough. I have to exclude that one. That's not really a horror anyway, so it's got something to do with vampires, but
Sparkle.
Yeah. Come on, there's a lot of good suggestions out there. Stay away from that one.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time. Later.
Thanks again, guys. Later.